Dear audiences, welcome to our Dorado Retreat House Real Life Stories Radio. It's our honor to give you our most sincere greetings in the love of Jesus Christ, Mother of Perpetual Help. May the love and peace of the Holy Trinity be with you and with your family. This program is run by Father John Hieu Nguyen Thi, who is one of Hanoi Redemptorists, CSSR, and his Dorado Retreat House. This radio is a broadcast with the purpose of sharing our experiences, discoveries, and confirmation about the problems related to mental illness, spiritual illness, vocational discernments, religious life, marriage life, and the ways that God has been leading us. New stories are broadcast and updated continuously on radio and website svcongiao.net at 9 p.m. on Sundays. We hope it will bring you to the new perspectives, new hope, new directions, and new saving road about human mysteries, illness, sorrows, and healings. Especially, these stories are really useful for those who are suffering from the same problems as we have experienced and healed. Among these radios, we want to send you the story of Miss Mary Hieu Nguyen Thi from Hanoi diocese with the title Abortion Disease Healing by Miss Yin's Voice.
One can live a life without making mistakes. I am a person who has gone through one mistake after another. It was definitely a time of destruction, but no doubt, in that destruction, I met the greatest love and grace. I have had self-tonsillitis, chronic headaches, and leg swelling for the past 10 years, and despite attempts made, those have not been cured. So I scoured for information online and learned about healing course of account. After contacting and answering some questions like name, address, and existing diseases, I was said that I didn't have any illness, but there was evil inside my body, just whipping out that creep and I would be cured. Then I followed their instructions. During treatment, they told me to raise my hands and repeated what they said. As I remembered, they were, I only worship one God, otherwise I will be cursed. After saying those words, I realized that it was an oath. They prayed to God 3 times and then asked me, touch your pain spot to see whether it vanished or not. I felt a little better and they told me to get some rest. But the whole night and the next day I was exhausted. My limbs and joints seemed to be out of work. A few days later, one of that group members called me back to ask about my diseases and told me to continue to cure that day. He told me to send him an image of the altar in my house. After seeing it, they said, there is something wrong in your altar. Why is there a statue of Mary? That statue must be eradicated. Otherwise, the disease will get worse. And they continued to treat me. After that, I touched my hand on tonsillitis. But for 1 week, the disease was more painful than ever before. I asked my child to take me to buy the medicine, but that pain didn't wear out at all. I was very worried, so I obeyed them and moved the Mother Mary to another altar. But after doing so, I still had no progress. No matter how much medication I took for the past 10 years, it hasn't made the illness lessen. That has been physical and mental agony. I confided my distressful situation to a sister in the same parish, and she introduced me to Thai Church. I went there to see Father Nguyen and talk with him about my situation. When I told him about my illnesses, how I turned to and was treated by that online count and that kind of stuff, then Father Nguyen asked me, "You had aborted, hadn't you?" As both from the blue, I was startled and thought that why suddenly he asked me about abortion. Abortion has nothing to do with tonsillitis, chronic headaches, and food problems, which are torturing me. Father Nguyen slowly analyzed the insight of sins and its consequences for me. He said, sins can be forgiven through confessions, but their consequences will linger in this life and the life to come to make up for the sins you've done wrong. For example, King David, who committed crimes and suffered what had been triggered by them in his life, which has been the foundation for unseparated future between sins and consequences. Father also told me that we must apologize to the persons to whom we did bad things. He quoted the Lord's words in Matthew's Gospel. If you are offering your gift at the altar and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar. First go and be reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift. I was worried and scared. My arms and legs were shaking. I couldn't think of anything. The Father's words kept echoing in me. Because of abortion, you have to suffer from diseases like illness, family breakdown, misery, economic exhaustion, and even being possessed by demons. God gave you sickness to remind you to return to Him, to your unborn child, yet you are so unconscious that repeatedly making mistakes and falling into denomination. On the way to go home, I didn't know how to face my own blood child that I had eliminated. I didn't know how to face with this sinful action to fight back peace in mind. What would I have to say to my child? Obeying the instruction of Father Nguyen, I went home to do the novena of the Mother of Perpetual Help to pray for a penance for my sins. Then, luckily, the grace of God poured out on me. I killed my son, such a cruelty that was not even worth being compared with animals. I lit a candle in front of the altar. I asked God to listen to my confession together with the assistance of Blessed Mother, to give me a chance to talk to my son, whose life had been deprived of 17 years ago. It hurt. It was all my fault. Painful feeling took over me and tortured me. Just obeying to that doctor's words, if I let my son alive, I would not be safe. I killed my child. I just lived for myself. So selfish I was that I rejected my child who was not even fully formed. Guilty feelings were biting me. I burst into crying bitterly. I cried for my child living, for the pain and misery my son had suffered, and also for my heartlessness. For the past 17 years, I never remembered and did not give him a name or offering to the mercy of God. I hadn't done any at all. In front of God, I was not worthy calling it my child, because no mother would kill her own child and then come back and said she loved that child so much. But believing in the Lord's mercy and the sacred maternal love, I named my son Joseph Merrill, mến thương. The name represented the compassion thanks to God's blessings. I wondered, how is my child now, whether or not he is with God? What could I do so that my child will return to me? I was concerned with lots of questions about my child. I told him with all my heart, Thousands of apologies offered can pay off my sins. I'm willing to accept all your punishments as long as that can mitigate your loneliness. Not until now do I have chance of giving you a name. From now on, I will remember you every moment in my life, and I will always talk and pray for you. I hope you will be safe under the God's protection, and your loneliness will be got rid of. I also wish that you and Mommy are able to get closer to each other and under each other better. After confiding our words from the deepest of my heart to my child, I felt calm and serene. I could sense the presence of my child beside me. I cried again, cried for poor child's love for the heartless mother, crying for having a chance to talk my heart out with a child that did not exist in my mind for the past 17 years. I knew that it was my son who asked God to let me to peace. The third day of the 9th week, because I wanted to be close to my child, I said to my sweetheart, Mommy and you are a two separate worlds, so it is hard to understand each other, I guess. So please give me a clear signal to let me know when you are willing to forgive me and gladly receive what your mom has done. After saying that, I immediately fell asleep after getting home from work. It was so weird. For a long time, no matter how tired I was, I would not sleep more than 2 hours a night. But that night, I slept all night from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. without any toss and turn, which was a miracle for me. It must be a sign of God telling me that my child forgave me. I was so grateful because God allowed me to reconcile with my child by talking to him. I wished to hug him forever and said to him, What do you want me to do? Give me a signal or a reminder. I will do it for you. Or just ask God to do everything according to your wishes. I will gladly accept everything happening to me so that you can be happy. After a few days talking with my son in front of the Lord, my pain worn out and my legs were not as swollen as before. I could not believe that my headache relieved without taking any medicine. Then on Saturday of the 9th week, I longed for embracing my baby in my arms. The candle was quite burnt and occasionally dancing. I did not understand what was happening. At that time, I was unable to speak out loud like normal people, and then I promised my son that if you forgive me, make my hoarse voice return to normal. And a miracle happened. People around me said to me in surprising tone, Why is your voice so clear and so easy to hear now, totally different from the hoarseness in the afternoon? Oh, my heart was fulfilled with happiness. I don't know what to say, but thank God, thank for your love. How sacred and noble it was. The love of God covered my sinful body, healed all the diseases that I had been suffered. I felt as if I were strengthened to cherish the little child. When I saw the candle in front of me dancing and cheering, my eyes shed out emotional tears. I secretly wished that my child would be a beacon of light to illuminate my path, release warm feelings so that I and my poor child could be reunited after days of separation. I just thank God for His enormous blessing poured out on me. The next day, while watching the candle quietly burn, I was overwhelmed with sorry feelings again. There were butterflies in my stomach. I knew it was because of my stubbornness and refused to believe that He was there. I apologized to Him again and urged myself to trust more in God, that He was always with me. And yet, another strange thing came to me. During that week, my swelling legs kept me from long walking, but that day I could walk myself to the church, joining the procession in spite of the long distance. There was no pain at all. Continuous miracles occurred in my sick body when I truly repented of my sins towards my child. I believe that cruel as I am, God still showed His compassion and gave hands to me and let my child to be in heaven with Him. I don't know what to say about the truths that God has given me. I thank God, thank Father Queen for giving me a clear insight of close relations between sins and consequences. The circle of distress I felt was all derived from lack of understanding about Bibles and the Mother Church. For those who follow Bible's leads, no matter how sinful they have been, they are still offered an amnesty from Holy Father, and no matter how tough it is, they are still able to find peace and happiness in mind.
Thank you for listening to the Radio Gerardo Retreat House Real Life Stories. We wish this hearty sharing will be useful for you, and it's possible that someone in the same situation will also have a chance for being healed. Dear friends, if you feel this story gives you something interesting or useful, please click the subscribe button to update the next broadcast. If there is any suggestion or comment for our program, please send us via email nhatingerado@gmail.com. Wish you all a new week full of joy and peace of Jesus Christ. Thank you so much, and see you again on the next program.